Vamos a ver quién dice quién dice no. Hello, everyone. How you all doing? I'm so honored and I'm extremely happy to be here with you guys in this 27th chapter, for LP Stories. I'm so honored and very happy for this invitation. And first of all, I would like to say hi to all my friends out there, to all the fans, family, and I hope everybody's safe. So, my name is Pedrito Martinez. I was born and raised in a neighborhood called 𝗟𝗩𝗦𝗧𝗢 in Havana, Cuba, in an environment surrounded by a lot of great folk figures, a lot of great musicians that used to play folk music. So, when I was around about 11, I started getting so interested about music because actually my uncle used to be one of the greatest percussion players from Cuba. His name was Antonio Campos. People used to call him Watusi or Nat King Cole. He used to look like Nat King Cole a lot. So my mom used to sing a lot. I have three more brothers. They all play percussion. So I grew up in a music family where, music was part of our oxygen. So since I wake up in my house, my mom used to put all those LPs with music, from Cuba, from Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic. So music was always in my blood. I remember the first experience and the first time actually um, I started playing music was when I was about around 11. A friend of mine, his name was 𝗟𝗣𝗦𝗘𝗦. He used to live right across the street from my house, and every day I saw him, passing by with instruments, with chequere, with some congas, and all that. And that's when I realized that I wanted became a musician because I was so fascinated that he was so excited and so happy all the time passing by in front of my house. So one day I come down and I tell 𝗟𝗣𝗦𝗘𝗦, I would like to play percussion, man. And he invited me to a rehearsal in Garcia Lorca. Garcia Lorca was one of the most relevant theaters in Havana. And I went to rehearsal with him. And I remember the first instrument. The first instrument I played was a cowbell in a song that was very fast in a 6/8 feel. So I got lost. I was so that was a very tough situation for me. I was feeling terrible because all the dancers, the whole group turned to me and they start they all were mad with me. So I decided to start practicing the genre, and I start knowing a lot of great percussion players in my neighborhood, and one of them was the great 𝗟𝗑s Perez. 𝗟𝗑s Perez was an icon for Cuban music. He used to live like a couple of blocks away from my house, and I remember the first album I listened was an album tribute to Danza Nacional de Cuba. Danza Nacional de Cuba was a project that used to was the same name, and they did an album, a compilation of a lot of genres of Afro-Cuban rhythms, and I was fascinated. It was amazing, and then I started learning with that album. That was the very first album I listened when I was little, and actually the rumba I started this chapter with was actually the first rumba I learned when I was so young. So that was the reason I started with that rumba. Mamita aquí está el mondongo, beautiful rumba. And I would like to share now a picture where I'm with my brother in Cuba right now in my house, in my apartment. So the one on the left uh, is my brother Mayito. He's older than me, 2 years older than me. I was teaching him some of the patterns in the bata instrument. That's my room. That's the room where I used to sleep in Cuba. And actually, those bata were not mine. I never had instruments when I used to live in Cuba. A friend of mine, actually, that wasn't a student. A friend of mine from Switzerland went to Cuba because he wanted to take some lessons with me to get some classes, and then I was teaching him. By that time, he was playing the middle one, and then my Yito, my brother, was on the little one. So, and the other picture, the one on the right, was my little brother Tonito. I I teach him most of the stuff he knows about music. When he was so little, I'm 6 years older than him. When he was so little, I started teaching him, and actually, what he has in there in the chair is a piece of wood. That was the only instrument I had. So I got a piece of wood with a carved rubber hammer with nails, and that was my practice pad. So I stayed with that for many years because I never had instrument in Cuba. Was That brings such a great memories. So and I would like to now discuss a little bit how I used to practice before, how I used to practice now, how I practice now in formal way and in a very straight way. So actually, when I used to live in Cuba, this is the reason I have a tower here. In Cuba, we used to put on top of the congas either blanket or tower. And I remember I used to practice all the time with music. I used to put the albums that I used to love, from Cuba, and I used to play on top of that. But in that case, it was not like a contemporary music like that we call it timba now. It was with on top of this album I was mentioning from Danza Nacional de Cuba. I was playing like different genres of music in the conga, in one conga. When a friend of mine used to borrow, when I used to borrow the conga from a friend because I never had instruments, so I used to practice with a practice pad on top of the music, you know, all the rudiments. Of course, the rudiments that I know that I invent by myself. I never had a instrument a book to learn rudiments. Everything was by ear. So I used to practice a lot of the singles, trying to get my singles very straight, and the doubles. That's it. That was the way I was practicing all the time, many hours, and playing. You know, all the 6A patterns in each song, and that was the way I used to practice just with a practice pad. So when a friend of mine used to come from Europe to take some classes, when I had the instrument, the opportunity to have instrument to practice, which was great. So I would like to share some of my influence. Um, since I was very young, I used to listen to Tata Wines, which was one of my mentors eventually, because I played for 3 years with him. Um, Many people that I really been checking all this year, but when I used to be young, Tata Wines was one of the most relevant figures that I was following. Um, Anga, Miguel Ángel Anga, El Niño from Iraquere, El Yulo, which was a great conguero from NG La Banda, El Panga, which was the conguero of Pablito FG. There was a great conguero also. His name was Claro. He used to be the conguero of La Ritmo Oriental, one of my favorite orchestras. I remember when I was very, very young, I used to cross the street from my house where there was a theater where a lot of the greatest orchestras from Cuba used to rehearse in there. And so I used to cross the street when I come back from school, and I was staying there for hours listening to music, all these orchestras, Ritmo Oriental, Orquesta Aragón, like classic orchestras from Cuba. So such a great period of time. It was amazing. It was an unusual way to learn. I never had the opportunity to go to the school of music and learn music that way. So I learned the street with different. type of teachers. I never got a person coming to my house to teach me how to play congas or any percussion instrument. I learned by ear. It was way difficult for me, but that was the only way I had to learn back in those days. Um, but I had so many influence. As I mentioned, in one of the most important influence I had was my godfather Roman Diaz. His name is Eduardo Diaz, but his nickname is Roman. And we've been together for many years. Actually, he's the you know that's great. I would like to share this picture with you guys where Roman, that was the picture on the left is a rehearsal with Roman's group. The guy who's a red shirt, his name is Santa Cruz, one of the most important figure in folklore in Cuba. Next to him is my little brother Antonio Tonito, and then the guy after my brother with the red hat. His name is Francisco Hernandez Mora, and his nickname was Pancho Quinto. This is a person that most of the folk musicians, learn from him. He was an extraordinary musician, a great human being. He was an icon. Then next to him is my godfather Roman Diaz. Then in this picture, all those guys in that picture are very popular and famous musicians from Cuba. The first one is from right to left, Juan de Dios, and then next to him Lázaro Rizzo, Miguel Chapotin, then me, Maximino, Roman Diaz, and El Goyo. So I learned so much from all these guys. They all were great. They all are amazing folk musicians, and the knowledge in this genre they have is amazing, amazing. So it was such a great time that for me, I had the great honor to learn from all these amazing musicians when I was very young. Actually, I was the youngest member of most of the bands that I used to play when I was living in Cuba. Yorubandavo, when I was in Yorubandavo, which is a great band, great rumba group from Cuba. I was the youngest member of that group. When I was in Tatawina's group, I was the youngest member too. So it was a beautiful experience. Um, the first gig, what was the first gig I played? Professionally was the one I mentioned it to you guys before. Garcia Lorca, Teatro Garcia Lorca, with Juan Ben Como group. Juan Ben Como is a person that used to have a band, a folk band, where they used to play all genre of folk music, and that was the first band I enjoyed when I was young. It was amazing group, a lot of dancers, and that's when I start getting fascinated with the way folk musicians learn. You need to sing, you need to dance, and you need to play at the same time, which is very hard. But that was something that you incorporate naturally when you start getting used to, practice and go to rehearsals and see the dancers, the chants, and all that. So it was an amazing, extraordinary experience for me. I would like to show you and share with you guys a picture at the Don Giovanni in Havana, Cuba. Uh, I'm in the middle. I was 21 there. This is a project called Folklore Contemporáneo. A dear friend of mine, Ulises Mora, a founder of Conjunto Folclórico Nacional de Cuba, dancer, he brought me to Paris, to France, with this project. Actually, the person that connect me with that project was my godfather Roman Diaz, which was part of that project too. And I think I'm going to show you also a picture where Roman is appearing in the same project, same tour. This is an amazing project. Actually, it was the project that really put me in the picture in the folklore world in Havana, Cuba. I was very young, and all these old musicians were trying to find young musicians to be part of the group, and I was so honored that they choose me. So That picture was in a place called Don Giovanni where we used to rehearse for that tour, that particular tour with that group. Also, that was the first tour out of Cuba. So the important gigs, there you go. That's in Montparnasse, France. Roman Diaz is the one on top. Then the guy with the red shirt is Mayito, and then Raidel. That was, the percussion section of that project for Clock Contemporáneo. So I would like to share with you guys some of the most prominent projects on my career. Um, I can mention many of them, but the very first one that really changed my life when I got here in 1998 with a dear friend and an amazing human being, a saxophone player from Canada, from Toronto, 𝗟𝗣 𝗦𝗧𝗢𝗥𝗜𝗘𝗦. So in 1998, July, 𝗟𝗣 𝗦𝗧𝗢𝗥𝗘𝗦 put a group together and brought me to the United States. When we were done with the contract, when I'm done with that, when I finished the contract with her, I decided to stay here. So when I stay here, the very first project I did was with Puntilla, Orlando Puntilla Rios, one of the biggest one, which was the documentary Calle 54. So this was one of the first serious gigs or events that I was able to be part of when I got here in the United States. But simultaneously, during the same period of time, I was so honored to be part of Brian Lynch group, Steve Touré. I was playing with Paquito Rivera, and that was the same period of time I was playing with 𝗟𝗑 𝗦𝗧𝗢𝗥𝗑𝗦. And when I won the Thelonious Monk competition, so it was Thelonious Monk opened so many doors for me. Actually, was my opportunity to have the contract to sign with LP and with many other companies that I've been talking later about it. So I would like to share another picture when I used to live in Cuba in a place called La Uniac, very important place where all the rumberos and a lot of orchestras from Cuba used to go there and hang and see all the concerts. This was when I was this the picture on the left is actually the same day I was playing with the group of my godfather Roman Diaz in La Uniac. La Uniac was such a great place where we used to have a residency every Sunday, sometime every Thursday. And Santa Cruz with the red hat, and then in the middle, on the left side, on the left picture is Lázaro Rizzo, and then on the right one is Chavalonga with the uh, red shirt, an icon of Afro-Cuban music. He was very old already there, very very smart and traditional folk singer, dancer, and player from Folclórico Nacional de Cuba, Conjunto Folclórico Nacional, Chavalonga. So this was an amazing group. This was an amazing group. I learned so much with all these masters. And as I was mentioning before, 𝗟𝗑 𝗦𝗧𝗢𝗥𝗑𝗦 was one of the best rumba groups back in 19 at the beginning of 1990s. 𝗟𝗑 𝗦𝗧𝗢𝗥𝗑𝗦 became very very popular, and by 1996 I was part of 𝗟𝗑 𝗦𝗧𝗢𝗥𝗑𝗦, and this was a tour in Costa Rica, and those are the members of 𝗟𝗑 𝗦𝗧𝗢𝗥𝗑𝗦, which is missing the singer, one of the singers and dancer. It was amazing. That was in San Jose, Costa Rica, a folk festival with 𝗟𝗑 𝗦𝗧𝗢𝗥𝗑𝗦. It was amazing. So I was with this band for like 2 3 years. It was an amazing experience. So I would like to also share with you guys a private ceremony in the Bronx. Actually, that's also in Costa Rica. That's not a ceremony in the Bronx. That's also a picture in Costa Rica. This guy with the blazer, his name is Malanga. He was a person. he teach me how to sing rumba. Such a nice guy, amazing. He was the conguero of one of the most popular orchestra from Cuba, Orquesta Jorrin. And the other people around him are, friend of us that we met, great people that we met in Costa Rica. So, you know, this picture is a private ceremony in the Bronx with my godfather Roman Diaz, Milton, and with a red hat. You can tell I was very skinny. Pancho Quinto in the middle, and Orestes. Those are some of those private ceremonies that we play, that I play regularly, every weekend when I'm in town, I do all this, I play this type of ceremonies. And now I would like to share also a picture of in Tata Winnie's house where we used to practice and hang a lot. This was Canary Island, actually. This is in Canary Island, and 6 months tour I did with Tata Winnie's. I was kind of a showman in there. I used to sing, dance, and play. I was 23 years old. That was that was amazing, amazing. I remember I used to tune the congas for him because I want to play the congas. And actually, when we finished that tour, he gave me those congas, and they stayed in my house for a week. That's it. And it was amazing. It was in Canary Island. 6 months we were there, all over Canary Island, Tenerife, Fuerteventura, Lanzarote, La Gomera, Hierro. That's another beautiful picture with Tata Winnie outside of the hotel in Canary Island. He was such a nice human being. I learned so much from him. I learned a lot from Tata Winnie's. So, he's one of that's in his house. Tata Winnie's is one of the most important figures from Cuba. You know, many generations been learning from him. And, I was 21 years old, and there, Lázaro Rizzo, El Negro, right next to me, his grandson. Beautiful picture, man. Beautiful memories. So, also, I would like to share a picture with Fariña. Fariña was one of my favorite singers from Cuba. He just passed away like a year ago, 2 years ago. Amazing singer. That picture is in the Pavilion Cuba. Fariña is with that beautiful white hat. Amazing singer. And the guy next to me is my little brother, Tonito. Pavilion Cuba is a beautiful place where a lot of orchestras and groups used to play in there. Still, they have a festival called Pavilion Cuba, or Cuba Disco. Cuba Disco. They used to do a festival named Cuba Disco there. That's beautiful picture with Fariña. So now I would like to share a video with Eric Clapton, actually. Eric Clapton. What can I say? Eric Clapton is a terrific musician. He's an icon, and I had the great honor to meet Eric Clapton when I used to have a residency in Guantanamera, in Manhattan, Midtown. I used to play there for a week, almost the whole week, until we turned in just 3 days. And I remember the first time I met Eric was in Guantanamera. Winter Marsalis brought him to one of my concerts. It was such an amazing surprise. So after that, we became friends, and it was amazing. It was such an honor to have Eric Clapton in my last album. He's playing in 3 songs, and a friend of mine did the arrangement of one of his hits, My Father's Eyes. So I would like to share with you guys um, a video with Eric Clapton.
Sailing down behind the song, waiting for my prince to come, praying for the healing rain to restore my soul again.
Just a joyride on the run. How did I get here? What have I done?
Where do I find the words to say? How do I teach him? Why do we play? Big baby,
Oh my God, it's beautiful. I can't believe it. It's amazing. It's an extraordinary feeling because I came from a kind of ghetto neighborhood. I never have an education in the school of music, and I never thought I was going to being able to have in my album Eric Clapton and to play with so many uh, heroes, some of my heroes like Eric Clapton and many others that I'll be talking about them later in this interview, in this chapter. But it's amazing. It's amazing to achieve our goals and to being able to share some ideas and have a relationship, a close relationship with your heroes, and Eric Clapton definitely is one of them. I remember when I sent him an email, asking him if he was going to be able to be part of my new album, and he said yes. I had 3 days available, and I flew to London, and it was one of the best experience in my life. It really changed my life. It was one of the biggest. Uh, it was a big deal for me. So I would like to also share a little clip with um, another great musician that I admire so much that we all love him, and for me also was a dream come true to play with him at the Beacon Theater for the Love Rock Festival. The great Dave Matthew. Woo! Saludos, Juan Muñoz. How you been, sir? Saludos, amado. Un abrazo. Oh my God, that was amazing. It's so funny because I remember years ago, percussion players were kind of like, I remember every time percussion, any member of a band used to make a mistake, they used to turn to percussion players and say, "It was you. You made the mistake." I mean, I'm so happy that percussion nowadays is in a very respectful level. I never thought I was gonna be in front, right next to Dave Matthews playing congas, not even a bass or piano or guitar. And even Crossroad Festival with Eric Clapton, right next to him. It's a beautiful feeling. It's a beautiful feeling, especially from where I came from. It's amazing. It's amazing. It made me continue trying to find and continue in the search of sources of inspiration to continue, uh, you know, continue pushing hard to achieve my goals. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Amazing. So now I would like to talk a little bit about um, the PMG. My brothers from my quartet. This is a clip that we did for NPR Tiny Desk. It's amazing. Um, that really opened many doors for us, for my group. We had after Tiny Desk, a lot of great opportunities came for the group for the group, and that was amazing. So this is a song I composed that was part of my previous album. The name of this song is "Tuve una revelación," and this clip is from Tiny Desk. I hope you enjoy. There you go.
una canción. Soñando, la vez desapareció diciendo que era una emoción tuya activa y un hecho objetivo. Palabra de gratitud, qué clase de combinación. Un sueño feliz y quise hacerte una canción.
Nice. That brings some great memories. You know, that was amazing. You know, I remember I was so nervous when we went to. We all were so nervous when we went to NPR because you know NPR is a big deal, especially a tiny desk, and it was such a great experience for us. So I would like to talk a little bit now and share with you guys a clip of my a clip from my new album, a song from my new album, "𝗟𝗣𝗗𝗦𝗧𝗢𝗥", which means riddles. You know, my latest album came out on March 19, and I was so happy that I was able to bring to the homes whole world a little bit of charity, love, and I think it was the right time to put this album out. You know, most of the songs are original, composed by me, and part of them, some members of the group, and you know, all the lyrics are very positive, and it's gonna be a beautiful album for my fans. I hope they'll love this. So I would like to share a little bit of a video of the song entitled "𝗟𝗑𝗩𝗘", which is the first song of the album of this record. Muchas gracias, Ned. Thank you, thank you. Saludos, Fernando. Wow, that's nice.
Mi religión es algo hermoso, lo que profeso es un encanto. Si el cristiano adora a Cristo y el católico adora a su Dios, yo venero la mía. Falsos criterios no cambian mi percepción. Honremos a nuestros ancestros y elevemos a aquellos espíritus que nos guían el camino hacia el reino de lo desconocido. Escuchen mis plegarias acepten mis ofrendas. Yo quiero darle las gracias a todos los ecos que alumbran mis senderos. Seamos fieles seguidores de todos sus consejos y de la magnificencia que nos envían desde el cielo, desde el cielo.
Beautiful, you.
Si la
Nice.
luz redentora te llama a vencer y te llama con amor a la tierra, yo quisiera ver a ese ser cantándole el verbo al divino Manuel. Agua y que ambela la ochambela 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 sana yenye que pumberi pulona e cuello y aguayo y que ambela la ochambela. Levanta tu bandera cubano, no tengas miedo, defiende tu legado y que ambela la ochambela. Soy caciquillo cimarrón, africano un mami con el machete en la mano y que ambela la ochambela.
Tony Padilla, bendición, hermano. Sí, señor, muchas gracias. Adelante. Hey, Rod.
Matrica y traga.
Saludos, Argentina, José. Un abrazo, hermanito, seguro. Saludos, Tony. Seguro. Qué chévere. Bueno, mi gente, aquí estamos, seguimos. Estoy muy contento. Muchísimas gracias a todos los que se han conectado. Muchísimas gracias a cada uno de ustedes por tanto amor, tanto cariño, mi gente. No quería dejar pasar por alto hablar un poquitico de español para mi gente latina. Sepa que estamos aquí representándolo siempre, 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 siempre. A 𝗟𝗑𝗦, un tema dedicado a los ancestros, al legado de la música afrocubana. Y es el primer tema de mi disco. Espero que sea del agrado de todos. Y bueno, I would like to introduce, please allow me to introduce my dear friend, 𝗟𝗑𝗦𝗘. I would like Jerry to enjoy this conversation with me now. Hi, my brother.
Pedrito, how are you?
In the house. How you doing, my dear friend?
Good, brother. Thank you so much.
My
Pedrito,
honor.
thank you. Thank you,
My
thank you,
pleasure,
thank you
brother.
for
My
taking the
pleasure.
time. You're very busy and there's a lot of things happening, and thank you so much for taking the time and sharing your story, telling us everything step by step, and from the very beginning to the present to now. It's a lot. It's a lot of things that you've accomplished.
Yeah,
So,
it's been a long way.
yes, sir. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'd love to ask a few questions. Also, for anybody watching at home, if you have any questions, please send it over. Para toda la gente que están viendo también desde la casa, si tienes una pregunta para Pedrito Martínez, por favor, mándalo para nosotros y lo preguntamos.
Para responderlas.
Sí, aquí estamos. Okay, so let's. I do wanted to ask you about a little about the folkloric and cultural significance of the conga, also the spiritual side as well, and maybe you can tell me a little bit more about how that's influenced you as well. I know there's a lot of mentors too, but maybe you could talk a little bit more about that.
So Jerry, my uncle, you know, the biggest brother of my mom. My mom have a lot of brothers, but the oldest one, he was a very well-known percussion player in Cuba. I used to play with Pello Lafrocan. Pello Lafrocan was one of the most popular orchestras in Cuba, and unfortunately, I never met him. You know, when I born, like years ago, before he passed away in a motorcycle accident.
Oh, I'm
But
sorry.
a lot of people, oldest people, you know, all these percussion players like Tata and many others I mentioned it before, you know, they know him, who he was. So all I have are pictures of him and little videos here and there. But he was my biggest sources of inspiration. And
Mm.
my mom used to talk in the house all the time about him and cry at the same time. He was
Oh, wow.
an amazing percussion player. You know, I remember when I started playing with Tata with which was his around his same the same age. Tata used to tell me beautiful stories
Wow.
about him. He said, you know, he had a very particular way to play. He was very, you know, he used to dress so sharp all the time, but he loved
Wow.
motorcycles so much, so he died in a motorcycle accident. But you know, as I was mentioning in my before, I never had congas.
Mm.
I never
Yeah.
had a conga, a percussion instrument in my house. The only instrument I had was a piece of wood, you know,
Wow.
hammer it with, you know, as I was telling you, with
Yeah.
nails in a carved rubber.
Wow. Nothing
So
fancy.
no, no, that was
No,
my
no,
practice
yeah.
pad. I
Yeah.
used to practice with that all the time. So for me, I was like desperately trying to find who can give me a conga that they don't want to use. Or I used to go to friends' house. They used to have congas and play a little bit. And
Mm.
the only opportunity I had to play conga was when a student come to me from Europe and say, "Oh, I want you to teach me some batal, some congas." But this instrument is one of the, if it's not the most popular percussion instrument in Cuba, is one of the most.
Yeah.
Since I born, I used to listen to the greatest congueros from Cuba, even in
Yeah.
TV, even either rehearsing right in front of across the street from my house.
Oh.
And you know, I've been listening to this instrument, and I love this instrument, and I became like part of this instrument. You know, it's so funny that when I'm singing and playing, when I'm not singing and playing at the same time, I feel uncomfortable. It's like, you know, the congas is so attached to my spirituality, the
Mm.
way I compose, the way I see things, you know, the perception I have in music is all about congas and melodies from the congas and rhythm. So, so as I was saying, when I compose, the way I write music is based in, oh, what pattern I'm gonna incorporate before I start putting the lyrics.
Mm.
How I'm gonna make this sound like a piano, like a bass.
Mm.
I was fighting to give the honor to this instrument, you know. So
Yeah. Absolutely.
it's hard. It's hard to be a percussion player and be a band leader, because normally
Yeah.
what people think a band leader is a person that have a knowledge of maybe many instruments, or at least or play bass, trumpet, piano. So being a band leader and play an instrument, a percussion instrument, is kind of hard because, you know, the way people see it is completely different. But I'm very honored that I've been, you know, all this year playing congas, bata, which we're gonna talk about that in a few,
Yeah.
and continue representing the legacy of my ancestor in this beautiful instrument, which is, we call it tumbadoras. Now we call it congas and all that, but we used to call it tumbadoras. And depending what genre of music we play, you know, the names change, you know. Quinto, tres dos, tumba, or cachimbo, it don't matter. But, you know, it's a beautiful instrument. It's a beautiful instrument that, you know, through the years is getting more popular and being more recognized in the whole world.
Absolutely, beautiful said. That's to see from traditional to, I mean, playing with Clapton, you know, it's very versatile. And of course, you do an amazing job as a band leader and an incredible percussionist. So
It really helped me.
that's quite the
Actually,
juggle.
David,
Yeah,
it really
yeah.
helped me to being able to sing, play, and dance.
Hmm.
You know, I've been involved in many different projects where they need one or the other.
Hmm.
But when they
Yeah,
see the three of them in just a person, when they see the package, it's powerful. You know, because I
it
saw
is.
that from other musicians that were older than me, different generation. I used to say, "Wow!" It was for me fascinating seeing someone playing the congas, they're standing
Hmm.
up
Yeah.
and singing and dancing and all that. You know, the first time I saw Thelonious Monk playing piano,
Mm.
he stand up and the piano start dancing, and I said, "Oh,
Dancing.
that was an unusual way to
Yeah,
feel, but
yeah,
that's the way he was feeling, and it was such a fascinating
yeah,
things to see. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah.
I don't,
So
I don't, I
connected.
don't hold myself. I always trying to give everything in any
Beautiful.
kind of concert. If I have to dance, I'm gonna dance. And if I have to sing, I'm gonna sing. I'm gonna. So, but if I don't do those three things at the same time, I feel like I'm missing one or the other. You know?
Wow, that's beautiful. That's incredible, and it's a great way to. And you're also you're connecting your tradition, your roots, your ancestors, everything all together.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Thank God with the African diaspora during the slave trade, you know, many ethnic groups were brought to Cuba,
yeah, yeah.
and then you know from different part of Africa, they
Oh,
all
yeah.
they all work throw in the same place with different dialects. They don't even
Mm,
understand each other, and then what became was what we call it now Afro-Cuban music. It's a
mm,
mix of many rhythms from many parts of Africa that is very powerful. But one of the most uh, relevant instrument and important instrument is this one in my back here. We call it bata.
yeah, yeah.
This is a particular instrument that is so hard to play because it's a bimembranofono. I
Hmm.
wish I know I can find out how to say that word in English, but bimembranofono because
Hmm.
you play from both sides.
Yeah. Oh,
So,
yeah,
and each
yeah.
of them are named different. You know, the big one we call it Iya, which means mother. Little one we call it Okonkolo, which is the first son,
Mm,
and then the middle one we call it Itotela, which is the second one. So normally in a ceremony you play three. You know, it's three-person playing individually. One is playing the big one, the other one is playing the middle one, the other one is playing the little one. But if you want to bring this instrument to a concert, to a show, you can do it two different ways. You play the three of them at the same time, which is a long way to go. It's a lot of hours of practicing and making sure that you put as many information as you can, but you need to make sure that it makes sense because there's no way you can put all the notes that when three people together playing it by
mm.
yourself. It's almost impossible, but we'll
Wow.
try.
Yeah.
So I'm going to demonstrate you a little bit how
Please.
this instrument sound. And the very first pattern I learned from this instrument, which was for me like a puzzle. It was like a riddle
Mm.
for me.
Wow.
We call it ilubanche or la lubanche. So this is the very first pattern I learned in the bata when I used to live in Cuba.
Beautiful.
You can either count it in 3, 4, 6, 8. It don't matter. This is a finish. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3.
Wow.
That was the first pattern I learned in the bata. Yeah. So
Wow.
I remember I was so young, and the oldest people that used to bring you to the ceremonies and all that used to say, you need to learn this pattern. If you understand, if you figure it out, what the one is, and how this is
Mm,
working, play individually, you should be fine.
mm. Yeah. So wow.
It looks
And,
simple, but it's
it,
hard.
yeah, it's a lot of multitasking. Yeah, of
Yeah.
course. So your mentors that were teaching you, they were also the ceremonial as well, too, right? I'm
Yes, I
assuming it
was
was.
telling, as I was mentioning to you, I never had a private teacher. So
Hmm. Yeah.
in the on the folklore world, in this genre of music, most of us used to learn going to ceremonies.
Yeah.
But
That was
back
your
in those
class. Yeah.
days, they have some rules. It's not like,
Mm,
oh, I already know how to play. They're gonna give me the instrument. I'm gonna play. No,
yeah.
there was some
No.
rule. You were going to be like someone helping them to card drum and put on his legs, and then you know put in like a tower. If he was sweating, giving a glass of water. It was a process,
Wow.
and then you were grabbing the spirituality that you know it was not like a
Yeah.
teacher in the school that is telling you, oh, here is the chart, this is letter A,
Yeah.
letter B. that
Uh-huh.
that was the way to learn back in the days. That was the way I learned.
Wow.
Bringing my mentor, like very like drunk, to his house, and he started telling me all these beautiful stories about his life. That's something
Mm,
that you're not gonna learn in the school, Jerry.
no.
And I'm
Yeah.
so proud that I learned that way. They show
Yeah.
you so much love. They show you transparency, how they are spirituality. And
Oh,
I learned that way. And I'm so happy I learned that way.
that's beautiful.
You know?
That's incredible to have that opportunity. It's community. It's
Yeah.
ritual. It's ceremony. It's
Hmm.
ancestors, tradition, and history, which is beautiful. That you're
Yeah.
right.
So
There's no class that could teach that like that. No.
that was my gig. I used to play a lot of ceremonies with my godfather Roman Diaz,
Mm,
which is a very important figure in my life.
yeah.
Roman Díaz es una de las figuras más importantes en mi vida.
Ah,
Aprendí mucho. I learned so much from him. I'm still learning from him. Even we don't see each other too much. But
mm,
I mean, it's an amazing feeling that I was surrounded of a lot of great human beings and master percussion.
yeah. Like Tatawini too is
Yeah.
an amazing mentor. Yeah. I was looking some stuff up and was Pancho Quinto one of your mentors as well? Was he or
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
was
I
one?
got
Yeah.
I got initiated as a tambolero, how we call, on his house, and I used to play
Mm,
with his team.
hmm.
Roman Diaz was part of Pancho Quinto's team, and also
Ah.
his godson.
Mm,
So Roman is my godfather. So it was like a tradition, like
hmm.
I used to hang in Pancho Quinto's house all the time with my
Yeah.
godfather Roman, with my little brother, many other friends. So yeah, it's an amazing experience. It's an amazing experience. There was a lot of alcohol involved, and
Yeah.
and we used to have such a good time, and it was different. And now it's um yeah, but I used to make a little bit of money doing
Yeah.
that. And the most important thing was that we were not playing because of the money. We were playing because we want to learn
Right.
all those chants, all those rhythms.
Mm,
It was a lot of information to learn in such a narrow period of time.
mm.
And
That's beautiful. Yeah.
yeah, it was crazy for me because I used to go back to my house and start trying to sleep, and I was thinking about, oh, I don't want to forget this pattern that I just learned today,
Hmm.
and I became paranoid with that because and it happened the same thing with me when I got to United States. When I got here in 1998, I thought that I lose so much knowledge in percussion and so much information that was already there for a long time. So when I got here, I started practicing for 8, 9 hours. My wife thought I was gonna be sick. I was not eating. I was practicing and
Oh,
practicing and
wow.
putting video cameras all over my room.
Oh my
to
gosh.
check
Yeah.
after hours. Start checking. Oh, I have to work on the slap on on the open tone. I need to,
Wow.
my posture. I need to see better. I was, evaluating every detail to get better and better and better. It was a very intense period of time for me. Like the first 4 years in the United States, I started running. I need to play
Yeah.
like all these great masters that are my friends now, like Giovanni Hidalgo, 𝗟𝗣
Mhm.
𝗦𝗧𝗢𝗥𝗜𝗘𝗦, Luisito Quintero, little Johnny Rivera, which is a person that we're gonna talk about him in a few
Yeah.
because he's one of the person that opened so many doors for me. I learned so much from him. So I can
Nice.
mention many, many great percussion players that I've been learning from them since I got here.
Yeah, that was another
Bobby,
one of my
Bobby Allende,
questions.
Mark Quiñones, many of them.
Yes, yeah, that was one of my questions. Is like your influences in Cuba, and then your influences in United States when you arrived here. Some of the
Yeah,
people that you were working with here and connected
yeah.
with.
Influence in Cuba. In the folklore world, I have so many people that I can
Oh yeah,
mention. Gregorio Hernández, El Goyo, Juan de Dios Ramos, Santa Cruz, El Negro, Triana, Amado, el Néstor Gato, Luis Chacón, Miguel Ángel Aspirina, Tata Wines,
that's
Román
the way.
Díaz, Miguel Ángel Angá, El Niño, Tomás El Panga. Um, I mean, I don't want to forget to mention a name. If I do that, please
Yeah,
forgive me. But here, I have so many influence too. Armando Peraza, Mongo Santamaría, Cándido Camero, Patato
I know.
Valdés, Rey Barreto, Giovanni Hidalgo, in Cuba also Changuito, of course. I didn't mention
Yeah,
Changuito. So, Little Johnny Rivero, Mark Quiñones, Bobby Allende, Luisito Quintero, Roberto Quintero, Rafi Rizari, Tito de Gracia, Paoli. I mean, so many great
yeah,
percussion players. Thank God that here in the United States I was surrounded of all of them too. I learned a lot from all of them, and I'm still learning. So it's a great feeling that you have the
yeah.
sources to grab some ideas from here, and from there, and then make your own style.
Mm, yeah, that's beautiful. I feel like we're so lucky and blessed to have such a wonderful like a community, right?
Yeah.
Because it's almost like a tribe. It's like where
Harper
everybody's
also.
connected. Valparaiso, yeah. Oh
Oh my
gosh, yeah.
God.
I can't forget.
The first time I saw Caparazzo playing, I was like, what?
Yeah, yeah,
It's like
yeah, yeah.
amazing, amazing, amazing,
Powerful,
amazing.
powerful, very powerful. Just like you. Um, a question about I wanted to ask you about 𝗟𝗑𝗦𝗘. I think there was a drummer that you were working with as well too, and maybe you could tell me a little bit more about that band, that group that you were playing with. And I think there was Mario Aspirina. I think is if I'm
Yeah,
not.
Mario Pirina. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I mean, Obailu was a group. The first, actually, the first album, if I'm not making a mistake, the first album I did playing bata and singing chants was an album that we did with Obailu for a person that lived in England. I don't remember the name of the artist, but yeah, I was very, very young. I used to live in Cuba, and all this all-star group. I was part of this all-star group with Mario Spirina, Maximino, Gregorio, Goyo, many of them. So that was the very, very first album I did, a folk album, and now I listen to the album. I say, wow, it sounds terrible.
Oh no,
Oh my God.
no.
It's unbelievable how you continue developing ideas and you continue getting better and better through the
Yeah.
years, and even you can be able to criticize yourself, which is a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
That when you know recognize that you were not that as great as you thought you was. I mean, so I did that album in 1993, and I was singing exactly the same chants that we all sing right now, and the melodies
Yeah.
were great because they are the melodies that we still sing, but they suffer like a metamorphosis now with the new generation a little bit. We are
Mm,
missing, all those melodies that were so powerful. But
absolutely.
talking about Bailu, I learned so much with them. I was a
Mm,
young guy, so excited, trying to play too much, and it was not the case.
mm,
But they allow me to be part of them, and I learn with them, and it really
yeah,
helped me to be who I am right now.
that's beautiful. That's really very humbling for you to say that, to look back in your some previous recordings, and look how far you've come, and look how much you've grown, not only as a musician but as a person as well too, learning all
Yeah,
these
yeah, yeah.
lessons. That's very beautiful. That's
Learning
wonderful.
experience.
And obviously that all those lessons, I mean, the lessons you've learned from mentors and everything else, it it applies to a lot of your musicality, and what you're playing right now as well. So um
Oh yeah,
I'd,
definitely.
I'd I'd love to talk about your group that you have, and family and friends that you have, which is Sebastian Natal, Jair Sala, and Isaac Delgado Jr. Those guys are incredible, and maybe you could tell us a little bit more of how you brought that together, and how that evolved, and a
I
little bit more
mean,
about each wonderful musician.
I've been playing with this type of format for a long time already. Since Guantanamera. I don't know if you remember Guantanamera. So I used to have a residency there, and I've been having a lot of different. But now, I mean, Jair is still with me. Jair was since the beginning with me. Now I have Sebastian Natal from Uruguay, Montevideo, Uruguay, at the bass, on bass. I have Isaac Delgado Jr., which is the son of one of the most relevant figures from contemporary music in Cuba, Isaac Delgado Sr. And Jair Sala been with me forever.
Mm,
So this is my team. They are my warriors, my
yeah, it's
brothers.
beautiful.
So I mean, it's such a beautiful experience to travel with them, to produce an album with them, to record with them, and it's so nice. They so happy. They such a nice people. They great human beings, man. And that has
Mm,
to be like synchronized by some point. You can be very talented, but if you're not a good human being, if you don't have a good heart, man, if you're not humble enough to recognize when you make mistakes and all that, it's like make no sense. You need to try to
mm,
be the best version of yourself, and every day trying to be better than the day before. Every day, trying
yeah.
to trying to make sure that you're moving forward with your career and with your personal life. So that's what happened with this band. They push, they always push me to be better band leader, better musician, and I try to do the same thing. I try always to be a good example for them of integrity and faith and be strong and
Wow.
try to always find it and search for the sources of information to become a better musician. And anytime we're in the studio, no matter what, all the traveling, it's like it's so enjoyable. Such a beautiful feeling.
Mm. Yeah, you definitely connect a lot more as well too, when you guys
Yeah,
are doing this every night, and playing all these different
yeah,
cities.
yeah.
Which I hope you guys come back around again, because
Oh my
with
God.
this pandemic, it's been kind of, everybody's been missing live shows and performances. And the last time I saw you was at the Cuban American Festival, I think, and that was in downtown Los Angeles, and that was, you guys are. It was incredible. What a great show! I just remember everybody dancing, and that was like looking at the people dance. I was like, "This is what it's about right here. This whole environment." And I can't wait to see that again.
That was one
Yeah.
of the hardest. That was one of the hardest. How can I say? It was so difficult to make sure that four
Yeah.
people can sound as big as we sound.
Yeah.
And that was one of the puzzle in my head
Yeah.
to make sure that with a quartet you can sound powerful and accomplish all this. Normally a contemporary timba group or contemporary orchestra from Cuba requires, this type of music that we play requires like four horns, three singers, a lot of percussion players, and that was the great thing happening in Guantanamera. I was able to play so many days, so many nights where I was able to put together like a quartet that sound like a lot of more people, and it
Oh,
was great. It was great for me.
well, I love the camaraderie between the group and everybody, and it's just you could tell it's very family. It's family oriented, and so it's really wonderful to see that and to listen and to hear and to watch you guys play. So that's just incredible.
Yeah, it's a
Um,
reflection.
oh yeah, absolutely, and it makes people happy. It's the energy that carries out, which is
Yeah.
beautiful. We need to have that. I'd love seeing the videos of you doing playing with Dave Matthews, incredible,
Amazing, man.
and of course Eric Clapton. That's just, I mean, what can you say about those artists? Those are, just to play with those artists and to have them invite you up and be a part of that and to co-produce and just to work together and collaborate. Wow, that's what an accomplishment that must feel like.
I still don't believe it, man. It's like
Yeah.
I can't believe it. There's a lot of great, great musicians out there, great composer, producers
Mm.
that maybe they never gonna have that opportunity. And I thank God and I thank my team, my manager, and all the people that in one way to the other were, helping me to make sure that I was going to make this happen. So I'm so happy and so honored that
That's
all this
beautiful.
year I've been able to play, Sting, Paul Simon, and John,
Wow.
Dave Matthews, Eric Clapton. I mean, a black rumbero from the middle of Cayo Hueso, Havana, a very ghetto neighborhood.
You're
And
representing.
I mean, it's such a great feeling. I never
Yeah.
thought, never. It was not
Wow.
even in my dreams
Yeah.
to meet these, people that were my heroes since I used to live in Cuba.
That's
So,
beautiful. That's
it's crazy. It's
incredible.
crazy. It's a dream come true. And it's beyond words, man.
Yeah. A friend of mine asked me, he said, how do you transition from going traditional to a pop or rock and roll setting? And maybe you could share a little bit more about your approach to that. Uh,
I mean, I'm very rebel, man.
mhm,
You can see each of my records have a particular direction with no rules.
mhm.
I'm not a
Yeah.
person that is structure or put rules to my musicians. Oh, you need to play this way. I give you an advice. I give you my ideas because I wrote a song, but I want you to feel comfortable.
Mhm.
And that's the same thing. Everybody have different characteristics and different way to dress, different way to talk, different way to approach things. So and I mean that I remember I never did that in my band. Oh, you need to dress all black, you need to do the slap and the congas like that, Jair. No, because I want people to bring their ideas. I want to learn from their ideas and make sure that we all sync on the same page and we'll feel comfortable. And I think that's what makes the music so beautiful. Every time I got a call to do a recording with somebody else, a collaboration, I want to make sure that they are going to call me again. So,
Yeah.
and you need to be professional enough to bring a lot of instruments to the studio, maybe that you aren't gonna play, but at least you have the option. The artist can ask you, "Can you play the cavat?" That happened with the recording with Bruce Springsteen. I
Mm.
bring a lot of instruments, and then he got fascinated with the cavaza.
Oh
I
wow.
use the cavaza, and they said, "Yes, you gonna we're gonna use that." So
Nice.
the only way to achieve the impossible is to believe it is possible, brother. So if you
Nice.
don't try new things, you're never gonna know if people are gonna love them or not. And that been happening with my setup. I start
That's
with two
beautiful.
congas and one cajon, and now I have like 12 things at the same time.
Mm.
And this was accidentally. I didn't plan to put this in my setup. I was in a tour with Alfredo Rodriguez in San Luis at the Jazz Bistro, and we were talking like, how we gonna make this duo sound big? It's just you and me. And he said, Pedro, why you don't add a hi-hat, some cymbals, and get a table with toys? And then when I played that gig, the first night, I feel so comfortable using all this thing. It was like part of myself,
Yeah.
and I keep it with for my quartet. So I have no rules. I'm never afraid to try new things, and I wish people around me function in the same way, at least around the same ideas that I have. You know, if you want to bring a float, bring it. If I don't like it, if it doesn't work, we find something else. But that's what I always trying to do with artists when I collaborate. I try to make sure they know I'm completely open minded to add any idea, even if I don't. I'm not comfortable. Even if it's an instrument that I'm not that I don't know how to play. I try.
Wow.
You need to try.
That's beautiful. If you have to get out of your comfort zone and just kind of and experiment, go for it and try it out. I was going to ask you about your setup because you know, I love the hi-hat, the snare drum. It's a very unique setup, and we can see a little bit of it right now here in the camera, but it's
Yeah, I'm
really
so happy.
cool.
A lot of
Yeah.
people now using. I'm trying to use this. I know a lot of people use the hi-hat before congas and trying to, but as big as this one for a percussion player and a singer, I think I was the first one. I
Yeah.
wish I'm not, I'm not making a mistake. If I did, please, sorry. But yes, this is a very unusual setup. I have a cowbell on my right foot, hi-hat, snare, and I have 5 congas actually.
Nice.
1, 2, 3, 4, and the fifth one is right in front of me here, where I have the computer on top of it. So
Nice.
2 cymbals, and then the bongos that I use in different projects with Alfredo Rodriguez. This is the complete setup, and then the bata drums back there.
Nice.
So I have so many alternatives and so many sounds, that I can use.
Beautiful. Could we hear something? I think we only have
Oh, yeah.
about 5 minutes left, but I'd love to hear if you could play something maybe for like a minute or two, and then or even 3 minutes, and then we'll close out, and would love to see you play for a little bit.
Cool. Before we end up, I would like to. I have a list in front of me because I don't want to forget any person. I want to mention all the people that that really help me build, help to build my career, and I learned a lot from them. I don't want to forget to mention that before I close this chapter. All right, brother. So what I'm gonna play now is a pattern that I invent for 𝗟𝗑𝗦𝗧𝗢𝗥, for the beginning of the song. When I start singing, I create this pattern. You can name it the way you want. It's up to you guys. All right. So it goes like that. 1, 2, 3, and
àwa ọ̀ṣun àwa ọ̀ma lẹ́rí ọ̀ma lẹ́yàwó ògbó egun kàwé ògbó egun kàwé.
that was a little demonstration of the pattern that I use in 𝗟𝗑𝗦𝗧𝗢𝗥. And actually, I incorporate this pattern also to a lot of my songs on the album, man.
Pedrito, thank you so much for your time.
Thank
Gracias
you,
por tu
brother. Thank
tiempo.
you, brother.
Verdaderamente you're an inspiration. You're a mentor. You're a pioneer, and I appreciate everything that you do. Honestly, and seriously, you are, man. You are you are seriously a big, huge influence on many people, and
Thank you, brother.
you really do shine a light on tradition, culture, everything that the drum represents and your country, and it's incredible to see that. And thank you so much.
Thank you, Jerry. So I would like to thank you guys, Derek, Martin Coin, you, and all the people that make this happen, man. Thank you so much for the invitation. It's such an honor for me to be in chapter 27 with you guys, and I would like to thank my manager Paul, my family, all my fans, all my friends for the big support, man. Thank you so much.
Beautiful. And where can we find a little bit more about your what you have happening? Where can we keep in touch with you
just
and
go
see
to
what
the
you have
website,
going on?
PedritoMartinezMusic.com, and you guys can go also, check my Instagram, my Facebook, Twitter, all those platforms. Also, don't forget to get your album 𝗟𝗣𝗏𝗦. It's out there. It came out on March 19. I have a lot of special guests: Eric Clapton, Kenny Garrett, John Faddis, Isaac Delgado, 𝗟𝗣𝗦𝗘, Santa Rosa, Miguel Zenón, Terrence Martin, many of them. So please get it. You can go to my Instagram and click on the link on the bio and get your album. It's gonna be also available in vinyl. So
beautiful. I can't wait
so
till when the vinyl comes out as well. Brother, any closing words for anybody who's watching at home during this time? And I know with this pandemic, everybody's getting ready, but any closing words of
please stay safe, and we're gonna get through this, and hopefully we're gonna be together in a beautiful concert and gonna be celebrating as we really deserve. Thank you so much for the big support again, Jerry, and hopefully I'm gonna see all my fans out there very soon.
Thank you so much. Gracias, Pedrito. Un abrazo fuerte. Gracias. And thank you,
No,
Jules, too, for doing all this as well, too. Big thank you.
Yeah, definitely.
Bueno, gracias, Pedrito.